CTW presents Square One TV, show number 160, produced at Unitel Video in New York.
Here's a funny question. Do you know if there are any numbers that are less than 0? Watch.
At the big diving meet at our school, a diver named Stanley O2 did a horrid backflip that the judges scored zip, the worst ever seen at our pool. Well, the spectators let out a roar, but Stanley had more thrills in store. His next dive was poorer, caused such a furor, they gave him a negative score. He got less than 0, less than 0. The score was running in reverse. Less than 0, he's an anti-hero.
Watch me go from bad to worse.
At a dance contest down by the shore, Stan tripped and fell on the floor. The judge cried, P.U., you get -2, said Stan with a grin.
Less is more.
He got less than 0, less than 0. He's a negative guy. Less than 0, he's an anti-hero.
Worse than nothing is my battle cry.
When he skated for the roses at the roller rink, the judges held their noses and said, Stan, you stink, you're so bad, we gotta give you a sub-0 score. It added up to -24. Stand into the hammer throw meet, set a record that no one will beat. He threw it behind him, the score they assigned him was -55 feet. He got less than 0, less than 0. No ifs and no ands and no buts. Less than 0, he's an anti-hero.
I'm a certified nationwide klutz.
Yeah.
I'm a certified nationwide klutz. Yeah!
Yoo-hoo, Mr. Clampon, yoo-hoo.
I wouldn't run in those high-heel slippers, Miss Lane. Doggy, I wouldn't even walk in them darn things.
Oh, well, greetings, Mr. Clampon. Oh, how sweet.
Howdy, Miss Lane.
Oh, I'm a little out of breath.
Ooh, I'm not surprised. Why, you were moving faster than 2 hound dogs chasing a gopher in a cyclone.
Well, that's because I just couldn't wait to give you the marvelous news. You made quite a lot of money on the stock market.
Don't say.
This is what you made just last week. $1 million.
Ooh-wee. So what's this marvelous news you got to tell me, Miss Lane?
Why, the money, Mr. Clampon. In just 7 days, you made $1 million.
But, I don't know what to do with the money I already got. I already own 2 of everything I'll ever need.
Nevertheless, the money is yours to keep.
Say, that gives me an idea, Miss Lane. If the money is mine to keep, then it's mine to give away. Now, isn't that right?
Well, that's highly unorthodox.
That's it. I'm gonna put an ad in the paper and give away $50 to anybody who ambles to my front door. Let's see, how many $50 is it in 1 million, Miss Lane?
Well, let's see. see, Mr. Clampon. Now, if you were to give $50 to each person, you would make, 20,000 people very happy indeed.
Then that's precisely what I aim to do. Now, what'd be a good day for it?
Oh, Mr. Clampon, that's an astonishing gesture.
What, this? Why, I do this all the time, Miss Lane.
Oh, of course. Well, I'm obliged to point out one tiny little fact to your attention.
What's that, Miss Lane?
Well, if 20,000 people wait in line for their share of the money, and each person takes up 2 feet in line, the line will be 40,000 feet long.
That's a mighty hard number to swallow, Miss Lane.
Yes, well, going further, if a mile is 5,280 feet, we can figure out how many miles the line will be.
Let's see now, divide 40,000 by 5,280.
Precisely, Mr. Clampon. Oh, the line will be over 7.5 miles long.
Jumping jackrabbits.
Oh, my sentiments exactly.
Well, we got our work cut out for us, Miss Lane. You put the ad in the paper, and I'll have Granny make enough lemonade for 20,000 folks.
Oh, Mr. Clampon, are you sure you want to jump into this? If I were in your shoes, I would proceed more slowly.
Well, of course you'd move slowly. They'd be too big for you.
Oh, Mr. Clampon, go ahead. Waste your fortune. I don't care. I'll go to the bank and change this money into $50 bills. Goodbye, Mr. Clampon.
I got Mom back to the store, so we can go there after all finished here.
This is so fun.
Take a look at this, Hannah. Bonnie got Ferdy.
Is this pretty? Oh,
yes,
what?
we'll go nice and spicy.
You're lucky you made it just in time, honey. You're number 20,000.
You mean?
That's right, Petunia. You are the last person in line.
And the line for Jed Clampon's dough stretches more than 7.5 miles in that direction. Fabulous, huh?
It sure is. Hey, look who's over there! It's Vanna.
I sure hope this doesn't take too long.
Oh, me too.
Any clue how long this will take, Sugar?
Well, we could figure it out.
How?
Well, he's giving away $1 million, $50 apiece to 20,000 people.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's right. So you figure it takes about 10 seconds to hand over a $50 bill with attendant amenities, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you multiply 20,000 times 10 seconds to get to us.
Makes sense.
Hey, you know, and I can do that in my head. 20,000 times 10 seconds equals 200,000 seconds.
Isn't that all? Well, we'll be grabbing the gold in no time.
Only 200,000 seconds. Fabulous.
Hey, look who's over there. It's Sylvester.
Oh, no,
fine.
it
Yeah,
is.
fine. Yeah,
Oh.
Oh.
Exactly how long is 200,000 seconds anyway?
Well, we could figure that out. There's 60 seconds in a minute, right? Mm-hmm. So you divide 200,000 by 60, and that equals a little bit more than 3,333 minutes. Now, there's 60 minutes in an hour, so you divide that by 60, and that equals a little bit more than 55 hours, or a little bit more than 2 days.
You mean we're gonna be in this crummy line till Wednesday lunch?
Looks that way.
Well, this is not fabulous. This is stupid. I say we blow this street corner and hit the nearest mall.
Out with you, Toots. Come on, Cookie Puss.
You won't tag along? 158 cheese stores under one roof.
Hey, look who's over there!
Oh, my God.
Square One TV's roving reporter asks another mathematical question of the person on the street. Today's question, what is a googol?
A googol? A googol might be something like a gaggle, I guess. A gaggle is a gaggle of geese, so I guess a googol would be maybe just one goose.
A googol is a bunch of giggles.
It's one number higher than infinity.
I got an idea that a googol will be something from a jock who stole Undersea World thing that he would just bring up.
A googol? Well, this is like what a baby says.
What you do with your eyes.
It's higher than infinity.
A googol, as far as I know, is 10 times to the 10th to the 100th power.
It's a 1 followed by 100 zeros.
It was really a big thing to me when you gave me your number. I'm not kidding. And I know that it must have meant something to you or you wouldn't have made the effort. Problem is, I'm having a little trouble putting it in my book, because your number isn't like just anybody's number. Your number starts with 1 and has 100 zeros after it. Well, I called the operator for assistance, and she said, That's a Google you've got there. Well, I nearly hung up because she's never even met you. What does she know? Anyway, she told me how to write it down so that it fits in my book. So now, Google, now I've really got your number.
Google, it's not just any number.
Have you ever wondered what you can do with paper clips when you don't have any paper to clip?
You think I just need some lessons?
No, you need
yes,
some magic.
I don't think even magic would help there. Now, I'll tell you what, Chris. We're going to do something that requires mentalism.
Ooh, that
May I
sounds...
read your mind? Okay, I want you please to think of a number. And then a number between 1 and 9. I've placed 9 clips down there earlier, and I want you to move then the number of clips equal to the number you think of. That's just to sort of solidify your thinking. And that number. Decide on the number between you, move that number of clips, and then let's see if I can read your mind.
Louise and I decided a number. Now that's a good trick. Okay. Yeah.
Have you decided?
Good number. Good number.
You like that?
Picked the number.
Okay.
I really like that.
Okay, I am now moving the clips. Now I'm going to move them all the way back so you don't...
So I can't see where they are. Sure, that's
We're not going to
okay.
give you any help with this,
No
Mr.
help at
Blackstone. You
all.
got to do it yourself.
Okay.
All right, you can turn around now.
Okay, I want you to think of that number. Are you thinking?
Uh-huh.
You're thinking? Okay, and you've moved them right there. Now you have... Oh, the number. Are you not thinking of the same number? You're thinking of 3. Is that correct?
I was thinking of it.
No, you were thinking of 0.
No.
You just weren't thinking. No, I'll tell you, I was teasing. Of course you were thinking of 3 because you moved 3 clips. You know how I knew?
How?
You see, the first clip that was over here has been reversed. Therefore, it becomes a key and shows me how many clips you've moved.
It's different?
See this one? Yes. It's been turned over.
I
Like
You're right.
noticed
Of course not. You see, observation is a most important thing in whatever we do.
It is.
Observation is very important. Oh, speaking of observation, I'd like you to pick up all of those clips for just a second.
Pick them up?
Pick them right
All
up.
right.
Now, what I want you to do is hold on to them. You
All
have
right.
them in your hand.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm going to ask you to place them right down inside of my hand, right there. Just place them
in
right
there
in there.
anyway.
Place them right in there, one at a time,
that?
or 2 or 3 at a time, any way you'd
Okay.
like to.
All
Place them right
here's
down
the
in my
bunch
hand.
right here.
That's it.
Got 'em?
Place them in there.
Okay.
Okay? That's it. That's it. Place them right down in my hand.
Okay, there we go.
Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could make them disappear?
I bet you can.
Well, you see, you do just like that. And if you want to make them now, you see, they're still right there. They're still there. But watch this.
Oh,
They're all linked together, just like that. Whoops, not all of them, most of them.
How did you do
Well,
that?
that's good
Well,
enough. That's really...
Actually, that happens because that is magic. See?
Mr. Blackstone, I hate to bother you, but I just
I'm
can't
sorry.
work this
Just a moment, please. I want to do one thing.
Okay.
Where'd he go?
I've been wanting to do that.
Now, is that mathematics?
No, that's television magic. You see, you can do it like...
I'm going to cooperate from now on.
Beverly!
Yes, Arthur.
I saw your brother today.
Oh, yeah?
No, not that one.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He was walking over the water and under the water, but he never touched the water.
Get out of here. How did he do that?
He was walking over a bridge with a pail of water on his head.
He's not a well man.
I just thought, no.
Cynthia, how would you divide 7 potatoes amongst 10 people?
Mash them.
The people or the potatoes?
This 60-foot truck travels around the country with equipment for singer Barbara Mandrell's show. Inside, there are 32 cases of musical instruments, 40 speaker cabinets, 12 cases of lights, 8 monitors, and 2 mixing boards. And it takes a crew of 12 hard-working technicians to get it all set up by Showtime.
This one here would be on the left side of the drum kit?
Because the show is constantly traveling to new places, the road crew has to be ready to solve unexpected problems in just a few hours. The basic problem is pretty simple. How do you put a truckload of sound and lighting gear onto a stage you've never seen before? It's like putting together a puzzle. Sparky is the sound engineer for the Barbara Mandrell show. His job is to listen to the music and to make sure it sounds clear, balanced, and bright to the people sitting in the audience. He uses a soundboard to change the volume or tone of the instruments and voices.
This is my working piece of equipment. Down here we have 40 channels of instruments. We start off with drums here, instruments here, vocals here, and effects here. And we make from these 40 channels a more manageable 8 channels with the vocals and the instruments and the drums and the effects. And from these 8 channels, we make it an even more manageable 1 channel. And that's how I do my work.
The lights used in the show hang above the stage on what's called a lighting grid. The crew must be prepared to rig their lights differently in each new location. To have a show that looks great, a lot depends on the lighting engineer.
My name's Jeff. I'm the Panaspot operator. And what a Panaspot is a light that moves. And I use this machine here, which is basically a computer. I read the numbers on the face of it to tell what each light is doing. As you can see, there's a string of numbers here, 1 through 12. And each one of those numbers turns one of these lights on. And then underneath that, there's a string of numbers that is the irises that makes them bigger or smaller. The apertures, just like in a camera. So you see the holes getting larger and smaller, and then each one of these numbers here controls the way the lights move, the pan and the tilt of the lights. And then there's colors that you can add.
Check, 2, 1, 2. Test, 1.
Still working against the clock, the crew is now ready to check the setup.
Test,
if Sparky likes what he hears, the setup is done and the crew can take a break while the audience arrives. Using mathematical and problem-solving skills, the crew has set the stage so that the only numbers Barbara has to think about are the ones she's going to sing.
The story you are about to see is a fib, but it's short. The names are made up, but the problems are real.
2:43 p.m. and night and morning low clouds mixed with the haze from fires in Angeles Crest National Forest had merged with the smog and nearly obscured the Los Angeles basin. We were working the day watch out of Mathnet. My partner is George Franklin. The boss is Thad Green. My name is Monday. I'm a mathematician. The original case we were working on involved 3 truckloads of stolen dirt, but we had come quite far afield from that. Now it looked as if we were working on an old case that involved $1 million robbery and money that was never recovered. We decided to look at some of yesterday's show to check out 2 hypotheses.
Wait a minute. What if the accomplice theory is wrong?
About the robbery?
Yes. What if he didn't have an accomplice? He robbed the armored truck and took the money home. He figured they'd have a record of the loot, so he knew he couldn't spend it.
What if he intended to keep it until the statute of limitations expired? That's 3 years. That means if no one is convicted of the crime in that time, the case is closed.
And what if he buried the money under the carport and figured to spend it all later?
It's an interesting theory, but it's still just a theory.
And it's a long way from 3 dump truck loads of dirt.
But wait a minute. If we figure this out, somebody else could have figured it out too.
Thank you, and if you could hurry, I'd appreciate it.
Eureka! Eureka. That means I have found it. That's not my line. Archimedes said it.
What have you got?
I looked up how much $1 million weighs, and it's a lot. $1 million $1 bills weighs about 2,200 pounds.
But there were no $1 bills in the Fink's job. They were all 5s.
That's right. And $1 million in $5 bills weighs about
1/5 as much.
1/5 of 2,200 pounds is 440 pounds. That's too much for a man to carry.
What's your point?
Remember Mailbag said he was going on a short vacation?
Uh-huh.
And did you notice what Mailbag was taking on his short vacation?
Yes, come to think of it, he had about 6 bags.
And a steamer trunk. A steamer trunk that could hold the money.
Yes, but you can't arrest a man for carrying too many clothes on a short vacation.
Something else. We have his footprints, and did you see his fingernails?
What about them?
They were caked with dirt.
Yes, but he was working in his garden, so naturally...
But Kate, he was wearing gardening gloves, remember?
Yes, you're right. He took one off to shake hands.
But maybe he wasn't wearing the gloves when he was digging through the dirt he stole.
George, I think we better pay a call on our writer friend. Mathnet, Monday. Oh, really? And it sails at 6 p.m.? Thank you very much. George, we've got to hurry. Mailbag is leaving the country on a cruise for Argentina that sails at 6 o'clock tonight. Let's roll. We thought we were onto something. The evidence was not conclusive, but we were pretty sure we were right. Sometimes when you're solving a problem, whether it's mathematical or not, the thing to do is to play out your best hypotheses. That's exactly what we were doing. Good afternoon, sir. Wonder if we could ask you a couple of more questions?
Look, you two, I cooperated with you yesterday, and I told you all I know about the case. If you need to know anything more, reread my book.
Yes, sir. But if I may...
You may not. I'm going away on a vacation in a few minutes, and I don't want to be late.
Maybe we can help you pack your car.
That won't be necessary. I'm having a carting service move my things.
That's an unnecessary expense, sir. George and I can help you lift your things.
Leave them alone.
I went over your book again, Mr. Mailbag, and a couple of things don't make sense.
Like what?
Like, where did Fish put the money right after he robbed the bank?
He and his accomplice hid the money in a locker in the bus station.
It would have to have been a very large locker, Mr. Mailbag.
It was a very large locker, Mr. Franklin.
They could have done that, I guess. But when did they move the money?
They didn't move the money. About a month later, Fish was tracked down. He was arrested for the crime, and he went to prison. That's when his accomplice moved the money from the locker and left the country. Now, I don't wish to appear rude, but I must be leaving.
How could one man move $1 million? It weighed nearly 440 pounds.
He made 5 or 6 trips.
He could have done that, I guess.
And that's what he did do.
That's not what I think happened.
I don't care what you do or don't think. Please leave.
What I think happened is that Fish kept the money.
And he didn't have an accomplice?
Oh, he had an accomplice, all right, but he didn't trust him.
That's ridiculous.
He was afraid his accomplice was greedy and might want to spend the money right away.
If he did that, the cops could trace him and catch the two of them.
Well, the cops did catch Fish. So, where was the money?
It was never found.
It was never found because the accomplice had it.
It was never found because Fish buried it and poured a concrete carport over it so no one could find it, especially the accomplice.
Did you know that Merle Fish died last week, Mr. Mailbag?
No, I didn't.
But you did know he was very sick.
Yes, I knew that the last time I visited him.
Here's something else you don't know. On his deathbed, he made a statement. He told us who his accomplice was.
That's ridiculous. If he was going to do that, he wouldn't have told me where he hid the money.
We informed him of his rights and continued our interrogation. And did he tell you where it was, Mr. Mailbag?
Did he tell you he had buried it?
And did you go back to his house and find it had been torn down?
And did you hijack those trucks so you could sift through the dirt?
And did you find the money at the gravel pits?
And did you bring the money back here and pack it in your steamer trunk?
And did you book a passage on the SS Falklands intending to take a short vacation in Argentina?
And did you intend never to come back here?
Would you go over that a little slower, please?
And did he tell you where it was, Mr. Mailbag? And did you go back to his house?
All right. I did it. I was Fisher's accomplice. And you're right. He didn't trust me. He hid the money and he never told me where it was. When he knew that he was going to that big prison yard in the sky, he realized that he couldn't use it. And the last time I visited him, well, he told me where he'd buried it. The rest you know.
One thing still puzzles me, Mr. Mailbag.
What's that?
Why did you write that book? Weren't you afraid you'd lead the police to you?
Just the opposite. I wrote it to throw the cops off my trail. I kept visiting Fish, trying to make him tell me where the money was. And then I wrote the book to make it look as though Fish had told me his accomplice took it.
Fish figured he'd be out of prison someday and could dig up the money and be on his way.
That's right. He told me we'd split it when he got out. I guess there's one thing he didn't figure, and one thing I didn't figure.
How's that?
Well, he didn't figure he'd be leaving feet first. And I didn't figure that he'd tell you the truth before he died.
He didn't.
He didn't?
We were playing a hunch.
A hunch? Do you know how that makes me feel?
Pretty silly, I'll bet.
Clear. This unit to code 38969 East 10th Street, code 38969 East 10th Street.
Your horoscope was sure right today, Kate.
Oh? What did it predict?
It said a new man enters your life and finds you arresting.
Norman Mailbag was arrested by the ever-vigilant LAPD for his participation in the Fink's armored car robbery and sentenced to an appropriate number of years away from society. When last heard from, he was writing another book. It is tentatively titled, I Feel Pretty Silly.
% of Square One TV is a production of the Children's Television Workshop. This program was made possible by grants from the National Science Foundation, the U.S. Department of Education, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, and the Carnegie Corporation of New York.
Corporate funding is provided by IBM. At IBM, we believe education is the key to the future. We are pleased to help support Square One TV as an innovative way to introduce young people to the exciting world of mathematics.